Well, good morning. It's a spooky location for a World Rallycross event. It's Hell in Norway, and welcome wherever you are watching in the world. It's a beautiful track and it's a beautiful day. It's a little bit chilly this morning. It was beautiful sunshine yesterday, but it's very cabin in the woods up here on the Scandinavian peninsula of Norway. Thanks very much for joining us. Live streaming now. Qualifying 3 is about to be live on your screen, so share it, tell the world. Also, let us know in the comments where you're watching from and who you're supporting as we get through to the big semi-finals and final later today. I'm very pleased to be joined by Andrew Coley and Guy Wilkes here with me now. As the cars line up on the pre-grid here, very different conditions to yesterday, but there's nothing different about the names of the top three, the two Volkswagens. But Petter seems to be a little bit closer to Johan this time.
I think this season you'd have to say Petter's had some really good performances. Johan was utterly dominant last year, and Johan said yesterday in the press conference actually it's the first time he's really felt comfortable in the car is now. And I said, is that the car or is it you? And he said actually it's a little bit of both. So you know, as world champion, you come in, you're defending, there's all the pressure, the number one on the car. Either way, he seems to have got that right in his head. And of course the mad thing is he's won 3 events anyway, so even with all that. But yes, Solberg, I think he could have won in Barcelona, I think he could have won in the UK. It didn't go his way, but he's definitely got the pace and he'd love to win here.
Now this is a beautiful circuit, very loads of elevation. Guy Wilkes, you competed here last year. Tell us why this is such a tricky circuit.
It is exactly that, Neil. It's very tricky. You need every discipline of driving in this circuit. You need to be neat and smooth like a racing driver in the last turn up the hill as you fire over the jump, but you also need to be very aggressive in some of the turns. Other turns very smooth. You need left foot braking. Like I said, every single technique across every discipline of driving.
Now we noticed that there was a rut developing yesterday, and that's obviously because the track evolves. We think they might have filled it in a bit overnight, but how does that affect your braking and the agility of the car?
It favours rally drivers. Rally drivers are used to driving in ruts in the woods as the stages dig out in a road. Something we don't see very often on a rallycross track, but it was actually particularly bad yesterday. And the guys who have competed, like Petter, Johan Kristoffersen's even doing a little bit of rallying now. Matthias Ekström's done rallying before. Those guys are at the top of the pile.
Okay, well look, you need to get up to the commentary booth, which is up near the spotters tower over there. So thank you very much, Andrew Coley.
Thanks,
and
Neil.
Guy Wilkes. Thank you. Now let's have a look at where we've been so far this year and where we're going. There we go. We've been to Spain, Portugal, Belgium and Great Britain. So we're a third of the way through the calendar, but we're on the Scandinavian peninsula of Norway in Hell, and there we are, right up by the Norwegian Sea. So we're getting very close to the moment where the cars will start to fire off into the pre-grid. So up here, if you turn around, that's where they do their tyre warming and tyre cleaning around onto the grid over there. So let's see if we can grab a word with someone down here. So there's Grégoire de Moustier, there's Tommy Rust. Let's have a quick word with Tommy Rust. Tommy, sorry, we're live. So Tommy, it must be great to be racing here at home. You had such a good event in Silverstone. Can you repeat that here?
That's the target for sure, but yes, it started a little bit bad yesterday when de Moustier losing his wheel and I had nowhere to go, so I get that stop and stall the engine, so I need to restart the race. So, but I'm fighting there about 10-12, so I'm fighting for the last place in the semi-final. So it's very important, this Q3 and Q4 for me.
And for you personally, because of course it's Norway, your home event, what would you like to do for this crowd? Because honestly, the crowd here, the live audience, are phenomenal. They're so behind it. They leave their deck chairs out overnight. I mean, it's such a big sport here.
Yeah, it is. It's very popular, and it's they're building up a good tradition to have a race basically at the same time every year, which is very important. And yeah, the crowd is magic for us when we're driving at the home track. So yeah, I need to try to deliver. So that's the target.
Okay, good. Well, I hope the crowd give you some extra boost today. Yes. Good luck, Tommy. So, as we come over here, we can see that Timozhanov is ready to go. His car's fixed. We're about to have qualifying 3 live. Let's have a look at what you can expect from today's social media broadcast. So yes, we are right in the thick of things. We'll be getting action. You'll watch every second of qualifying 3. Then a bit later on, just before midday, make sure you're back again for qualifying 4. Now remember, that's crucial because the top 12 will go through to the semi-finals. The rest will go home. So let's see if we can grab one more person before we get the action underway. Let's go down here. Of course, down there we've got Alex Wirtz making his rallycross debut, and it's a very steep learning curve for him. Let's go over here. If you with us, Bob. There we go. Sorry, everyone's bringing their coffee around. Let's see if we can jump in with Gerland Schischerit. This beautiful Pro Drive Renault Megane, beautiful piece of kit. Gerlan, I'll just go on, Bob, squeeze in. Gerlan, a very tricky day yesterday. How can you attack today to make sure you make the semi-finals?
I have to push, like maximum risk. Yesterday was terrible for us. We had some technical issue, but it's like this, it's like it's the motorsport, so we have to make it work now, and 2 more runs to try to go back on the top 12, so I'm going to try.
But does the car feels good when it's working around this amazing circuit?
Yeah. The time lap yesterday was quite good on the very first Q1, just the time lap, not the final time. So no, we are quite happy with the cars. We still have to make some work to make the whole package working properly. But for now, the main issue we have is the start, the launch. It's a bit complicated for us.
Well, I hope you get the launch right, and we'll hopefully see you in the semis. So, merci, thanks Gerlan. So look at this beautiful car. We'll see this in action very, very shortly. Now, of course, when it gets to the semi-final and the final, you can watch it live on television from 2 o'clock. So check the website for where you can watch that. But for now, upstairs in the commentary booth is Andrew Coley and Guy Wilkes, ready to talk you through all the action from qualifying 3.
Thanks, Neil. Very much looking forward to this. Day 2, of course, of round 5 of the FIA World Rallycross Championship from Hell in Norway. This fantastic track, which is just outside the window here. The weather's clearing a bit, Guy. It is different to yesterday. Track temperature yesterday was 26. Today it's only 15, so 10 degrees lower.
It is, but I don't think it'll make a massive difference to times. They run a very soft, slick tyre, and the track has been cleaned. It has been re-prepared.
So we've got more loose gravel back on it, so we can expect a bit more cleaning.
Yes,
today.
They have done a lot of work. They have compacted it. They've put a lot of Dustex on, which is a very sticky, almost like glue substance, wet substance that binds the surface together and hopefully keeps the dust down. Let's see if that pays off. But one thing that I did forget to say on the pre-grid was that there is another guy at the top of the timesheets who is also a very good rally driver. Sebastian Loeb and Peugeot.
Yes.
They're doing a cracking job at the moment.
He's done a bit of rallying, hasn't
really
he?
come to the fore,
He's
haven't
done
they?
a bit of rallying.
This year they're really smashing it.
Let's have a look back at the action from yesterday. We'll bring you up to speed ahead of all the action from Q3. So this was the early races. Kristoffersen got collected by Larsen in turn 1. A little bit of damage to the rear of the car. Guy, he did say he could feel that for a couple of laps, you said?
Yeah, he told me this morning he could feel it for about a lap and a half, and it was just dragging on the inside rear. He didn't want it to overheat the tyre. He's got such great brain capacity.
Kristoffersen was quickest in Q1. Sebastian Loeb, you saw this moment between turns 1 and turn 2 there, where he was very sideways. He was only 3/10 off him. I asked him in the press conference last night, would that have made the difference? He was like, I don't know, it was close. But he did also say he couldn't match him later on in the day. So this was Ekstrom and Hansen. And Guy, that's a very good example. In fact, I think both were planning to go to the Joker. But if you're outside, it's a nice place to go, but you can also get forced to go there.
Yeah, very brave from P4, P5, because P3 can also go Joker. That's the most direct line you have in there, but it is all dependent on the start.
This was Kevin Hansen getting up the inside of Matthias Ekstrom at the end of Q1. Timmy Hansen managed to slot through that gap as well, but all that squabbling had cost them time, and as I say, it was Kristoffersen who took Q1. You ride on board with Baumanis. What you can't see to the left of him is Markland, where Baumanis was a bit of a passenger on the way into the Joker. Did a good job with a lot of handbrake to get it turned in. Collected Munich as well on the exit, but they weren't too happy with each other, and again, it cost them a load of time.
Good, old school, strong rally crossing, wasn't it? Dog eat dog.
It was. Side by side, door to door contact. Look at the difference, the speed difference there on the way down into turn 1. So Backrud and Timmy Hansen had a decent fight. There's that big hole in the top of the rope. Backrud couldn't get through. Timmy wasn't necessarily on the pace in this either.
Backrud was all over him, and it was the first time I've seen Timmy Hansen rattled behind the wheel. He was making mistakes all the time, and Backrud, as you can see, trying desperately to stay up there with him. He hemorrhaged time behind him yesterday.
Ekstrom did well in Q2. He set a decent time, put himself up into second place in that session, but it was all about these guys. There's Solberg and Kevin Hansen heading up into the Joker lap, but Kristoffersen, watch for Timosyanov. Quite a big hit for him and a passenger for a long way into the wall.
It was, and I just asked Timmer on the way up to the comms box from the pre-grid just now what actually happened, and he said the steering rack broke.
There we go, so that's why he couldn't turn out the wall. We did wonder, it was slightly strange. Kristoffersen took Q2 to go with his Q1 win, and as they crossed the line, it was as they finished the day. Sebastian Loeb in P2 and Solberg in P3. There you go, confirmation of that. Kristoffersen with the wins in the first 2 sessions. Ekstrom's P2 in Q2 moved him up from 8th to 4th, so that was good for him. Remember, a front row here in the semi-finals is pretty crucial if you want to decide what your tactics are, although the guy on the inside can force you to, as Backrud did a couple of years ago. Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, Backrud. Niklas Gronholm, the Hyundai, up into 8th place. Kevin Eriksson, Robin Larsson, both the IMSE Fiestas are in. Anton Markland is in at the minute. Remember, he's not a World Championship regular, so that's a good good performance by him. And Timozyanov, despite not finishing Q2, is in 12th, and that's because everybody underneath has had actually a pretty up and down day, guys, especially when we get down to the third page here. We see some of our regulars.
Yeah, there was a lot of carnage yesterday, wasn't there? A lot of mistakes, a lot of stalls on the lines, couldn't restart cars. Ghislaine Shishery, Alex Verts, newcomer down there.
Yeah, Verts, I think, learning the gravel as well, fair to say. You know, you'll see that, I think, in this next race. Let's see if he's picked up anything overnight and see what happens.
Yeah, for those who aren't familiar with Alex Verts, obviously he's done a lot of circuit racing. Le Mans
factory,
winner, factory Toyota driver and Peugeot driver and Formula 1 as well, and trying his hand at rallycross.
And enjoying it too, most importantly. So a bit of news for you on the grid. When we get down there, you should be able to see on the right-hand side there is Max Pusher. Now, Max Pusher yesterday we thought was withdrawn because Alex Verts' gearbox was broken. They didn't have enough parts. So they took the box out of Pusher's car and put it into Alex Verts'. Overnight, they've managed to source the parts to repair the gearbox, and that's gone back into Pusher's car. So Max Pusher back on the grid, which is good to see. And we've also got some news for you about the spec of Rennie Munich's Seat. If you're a real rallycross geek like Hal Ridges, thank you, Hal, for grabbing us some of that information. He's a bit of a legend around the paddock. Here we go. Rennie Munich is on the inside for this one. Timozyanov, after that retirement in Q2, is in the middle, but somehow still in P12. And Max Pusher, P23, unlikely to make it through to the semis, but good to see him back on the grid. Crowd in anticipation of the supercars getting underway on day 2 here. Not quite so many of them here yet. I have to say they do like a party here. When we left last night about 9 o'clock, there was a big circus tent full of people having a good time. As I say, the weather was beautiful. The sun didn't go down till 11:30 yesterday. It doesn't look like it's come up just yet. The revs are up though. And we are away for day 2. Great start by Timozyanov, but Munich quick on the inside too. I wonder where Tim will go. He goes, brakes and sticks the car into the inside. And Pusher goes off to the joker.
It was a long hold, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, for the first race of the day and getting a long hold, especially with Timozyanov, he is up there, obviously P12, because he had such a great Q1. He was P4 in Q1.
Yeah, it was mega, wasn't he?
So he had collected a lot of points there.
So Tim was really good here, Guy. We know that. We've seen him been really good in the past. He very nearly won, but for a puncher. He does need a good time here. You know, 12th is right on the cusp, but it's not really where you want to be because you're relying then on what happens to other people. He wants to bang it in now, doesn't he, and move himself up the standings.
Yeah, his last final was here last year, but Timozyanov, actually, his statistics for finishing in the actual, making the semi-finals is 72% from all of his starts. He's done 53 starts, 72% of the time he actually makes it all the way to the semi-finals.
Yeah, very, very good driver. And as we said yesterday, it's actually quite a surprise that he hasn't won since IMG have taken over the Rallycross. So European Rallycross, World Rallycross, he hasn't had a win since 2012. He's looking very nearly got one in 2013, but the race was red flagged and it was given to Alexander Wahl. So
he's looking really neat and clean here, actually. He's not dropping Rennie Munich as much as he would like, and commentators curse a little bit deep, but gets it back to the apex. Actually, not a bad line into there.
There's a lot of loose gravel, Guy. How do you think this will develop? I mean, obviously we've only really had warm up this morning. We haven't, so not so much the Joker. Well, I mean the Joker too, but mostly I was looking at the last couple of corners. Do you think it will?
Races, yes.
Okay. So Rennie Munich, while we look at him, as I say, Hal Ridge has been out on the research front. He's very good at that. Thanks for the info, Hal. He was saying they've moved to a front radiator package on that Seat, and Rennie is running a different car than the one that was so successfully used by Timo Scheider in America's Rallycross a couple of weekends ago at Silverstone. So Scheider will be given the better car once they know that it's absolutely working as they want it to.
Tim is knocking in good times here. He's into the 38s already. They were down in low 38.3s yesterday, but he's done a 38.9 and now a 38.8. So good times on a circuit that he's gone clean. So far so good.
There he goes through the Joker lap. He'll come out significantly in front. Needs to hold it together now. Give you an idea of what the times were yesterday. Christopherson won both sessions, 2:39.9 for Q1, 2:40.4 for Q2. But slightly cleaner track, slightly higher temperatures. Colder temperatures mean more engine power, but sometimes mean less grip. But I think, as Guy said earlier, it's mostly about the gravel. At the minute, we don't have that hole in turn 6, which is a good thing, but let's see where Timmer stops the clock. So So target time around 2:39.9, 2:40.4, and he gets a 2:42.8, which I think is relatively. How did he do in Q1 yesterday? Tim was 2:41.3. Yes, so it's not bad, is it? Really, considering the amount of gravel there is on the circuit.
Yeah, that would have given him sort of 5th, 6th fastest in Q2. So considering that the circuit is a little bit okay, it's smoother because they repaired the road.
Yeah,
but it's gone to clean.
Yeah,
that's not a bad effort at all.
Good stuff.
In fact, I would say very good.
Yeah. So Tim are obviously at the top of Q3 with only one race done. Rennie Munich is P2, Max Pusher is P3. Neil Cole has managed to stop the Russian on the way back into the paddock. Let's go and okay, we're not going to have a chat with him right now. We're going to have a look at the replays instead. So here we go. This was Max Pusher. Good job on the team to source those parts overnight, Guy. Must have been a few small things. Maybe they've had something machined up locally if it's a small breakage.
Yeah, Alex Wirtz had a problem with his gearbox and they swapped the car out of Max Pusher's car into Alex Wirtz's car because obviously Alex is only doing one event, I think. And, so they gave him the best chance of Q2, make him run the whole event. But yeah, Timur Timosianov did a great job, did exactly what he needed to do, took the start, got a clean road ahead of him, and it was up to him just to hit his points and make sure he did a good job.
Decent time. Okay, we're not going to catch up with Timmer. He's got to head back to the paddock. Fair enough. These guys are focusing on the racing, as we said. About half of the crowd are here, I would say, compared to yesterday, and more will come in as the day goes on and we get towards crunch time later on. We've got 3 Norwegians here who could be fighting their way through to the semi-finals. At the minute, of course, we've got Bakker and Solberg who are both in, and Tommy Rustad is in P13. He was really hoping that he will be able to make it up just one more place and book himself a slot in the semis. Then we'd have 3 Norwegians for the locals to cheer on. On board with Baumanis, looking nice and calm. The Latvian driver, his dad, is often the first person in the spotters tower, and that's true again today when me and Guy walked up earlier. Andrus was just here calmly waiting. Of course, he's also looking after Artis in Super 1600 this weekend. I saw Rihards, the other Baumanis brother, earlier on today, photographer who takes the pictures. And he was saying that Artis is quite pleased with his position in Super 1600, but that Yanis is a little bit frustrated with the positions he's fighting for at the moment. So I think he'd like to be further up. Here is Yanis. You cannot beat the brutality of a rallycross launch, can you?
We were talking about yesterday as well, and it's one of the trickiest launches as well because you have literally 10 metres ahead of you a concrete wall, so you have to get off the
tyre
clutch.
warm,
a rocket ship that accelerates 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. You probably
0
get
to the wall in 2 seconds.
It's not even in 2 seconds. It'd be a lot quicker than that if you missed the clutch, I tell you.
Gregoire de Moustier on the inside, Kjetil Larsen next to him, Oliver Bennett is in the middle of the grid, Alex Wirtz and then Yanis Baumanis. So I think it's fair to say that Wirtz and Bennett are both learning this circuit and learning the sport a little bit more than the other drivers. But Yanis Baumanis is definitely the most experienced here, and in P16 there is a chance he could go through, and we see new boots on the car, so he's up for a big push. Kids in the background look waving. They can see themselves on the big screen. They go nuts. Good for them. I'll tell you what, I hope they've got their ear defenders on, or they'll have tinnitus like me. it's so loud. It's particularly, actually, the start car is so loud on the start line.
There's a few noisy ones now, isn't there?
There are. Right, here we go. Ready to go. Orange light will go out. Random gap to the green. Then we've got a jump start from de Moustier. So de Moustier's jumped it. Well, it looked clear to me. In fact, you can see the jump start. Possibly Wirtz. So Wirtz's jump start centre is down 2. Look at the road.
See the marshal just stand it back in front of the car.
It's wow, who was it? So who went quick? We're saying it was okay. De Moustier. It was de Moustier who went first. It was de Moustier who went first. Race control say car number 66, which is him. So de Moustier was definitely, Wirtz was definitely moving as well.
And he had one yesterday as well, didn't he? Very first race,
did,
Q1.
Yeah, in fact, Wirtz and Bennett had one, didn't they, yesterday in the same race? So the two of them had to do 2 joker laps. Remember, that's the penalty. If you're new to rallycross, you have to do a second joker lap if you jump the start.
And if you do it twice in a row, you're out. So there's big pressure on Wirtz here not to do it again. Sorry, de Moustier not to do it again.
Close gap between the bottom end of the top 12 and where Baumanis is, so he only needs a a good performance, a very good performance he could do with here, but a good performance would see him in with a chance at the semis. It's
stopwatch. It's not the people on the track. If he gets out front, he needs a clean race, and it's the
he's got to get out front, isn't he? He's got to get out front. So watch for Baumanis on the outside. I think if he gets a half-decent start, well, trouble is he can't necessarily go joker because he doesn't want to come back out between these guys, or he closes the door very quickly. Baumanis right there across. Larsen's going to go up the inside. Baumanis is really sideways over the curves. He broke the drive shaft yesterday in that contact.
That was risky.
Hopefully he hasn't broken anything this time, but Baumanis has got what he needed, but it was by hook or by crook.
It was. He wasn't out front. There was somebody went in front of him to the joker. I didn't actually see who it was. It must have been Larsen. But yeah, it wasn't ideal. He's way offline there now, so he's hemorrhaging time, and he climbed all over the curbs in that first corner. Not ideal. You can pick up a puncher and damage. Those are massive.
Right, like drive shaft yesterday, as I say, in the contact with Mark and so you know, Wirtz is here with a bit of bump hanging off the back. So Alex Wirtz still learning, currently in second place. Wouldn't do him any harm, would it, to follow someone like Baumanis around a little bit, but it's the gravel that he really needs to get his head around.
Yes, the gravel. He can follow him around the tarmac. You know, here we can see he drives the car very neutral, like a racing driver, and he's clean in, clean out. Maybe his mid-corner speed was down a little bit.
That was a bit better on the brakes.
Yeah, neutral into there. You need to get the car floaty.
So you think he could have let the rear slide even more?
Just to check it with the left foot, just to get the rear to go, so you can get on the gas a lot earlier and hit the apex a little bit later down the bank. If you come in neutral, the car pushes on the front as the foot road falls away from you.
Baumanis looked like he was short shifting a tiny bit up the hill there. Would that be because of wheel spin, because of the amount of loose gravel there is?
Absolutely.
Okay, good stuff. So Yanis Baumanis aiming for the target time of Timur Timosyanov, which is a 2:42.8, 39.3. It's about half a second off the pace of Timosyanov in terms of lap time, but that doesn't mean he isn't going to move up the order. So
yeah, Demoustier has gone into the joker. Obviously, he needs to do two, but he's getting held up by Wirtz there.
Wirtz tight on the inside. Oh, Bennett crossed up on the brakes, but holds on to it. Nicely done. He's trying to line up Larsen in the background. Demoustier's on as well.
Looks good.
Does look good.
Really good.
Going for a look. Larsen, he's early on the handbrake. Bennett a little bit smoother. So Bennett was saying he was losing time through this section. Guy, have a look through here and see what you think.
Yeah,
through the left and the right.
Him. So yeah, nothing. Oh yes, he's just there. Just got the car a little bit tail in. He got a little bit too close to the left of the trackers. Obviously, as he was driving it, he just compromised his exit speed and the corner.
Baumanis into the joker lap on the last lap. It's nicely done by Yanis Baumanis. Wirtz goes in with him, so Wirtz has done a good job here too. Go on, Alex Wirtz, having a look. Going to try and get up the inside of the merge. Yes, nicely done. Now he's getting into the rallycross spirit.
Absolutely, and he'll have been looking at data and video footage, I bet you, all night long.
He'll be loving that.
Want to embarrass himself.
No, oh no, don't get too deep on the brakes now. He will. We know what I love about it is he's loving it, even though it's not going that well.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, I love it. I love
there on the limiter, isn't it?
Yeah, he's here in his old factory Toyota race suit from WEC, and instead he's like, nah, it's all good. I'm just having fun. Watching for the target time at the line. Baumanis with the 2:44.3 is a second and a half off it, but that's not too bad. Alex Wirtz crosses the line to take a P2, and that's the best performance we've seen from Alex Wirtz this weekend, definitely. So great stuff, and I'm sure the smile on his face will be even wider than it was before. Baumanis takes it. Wirtz, Larsen, Bennett and Demoustier. Timosyanov is still at the top of the pile at the moment, but that was a good drive. So Timur is in 12th, Baumanis is in 16th. Remember, only the top 12 go through to the semi-final. So Timur looking to secure his place, Baumanis looking to move up a bit. Baumanis has peeled off the circuit up at the far end of the start-finish straight, and he is with Neil Cole, so we're going to have a chat with him now.
Yanis, tell us what that was like. Do you think the time's going to be quick enough?
I think quite stupid first corner. I get really heavy hit on the rear. Then over the curbs, something disturbed on the rear, and I was a little bit scared of the braking, so alignment is a little bit changed, but definitely it's place for improvement. But at least I win the race here, and I saw that Timur went in the car for 2 seconds faster, so I hope for a good result on the Q4.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's have a little look up here now. It was interesting because I think it was Alex Wirtz that gave Baumanis that clatter in the rear that unsettled him. And let's take an opportunity before the next cars come up onto the grid to have a look. So that's the start. So that's where they drag off the start line up into turn 1. Now turn 1 is on tarmac, but then that's the joker. Now hopefully you'll get a sense of just how steep it is. In fact, let's have a little walk up here. So transitioning from tarmac onto gravel and then uphill. So a good sort of rally style driver will get a gravel drift all the way around that Joker section and back down onto the tarmac, and then look, it just drops, disappears over the edge of the mountain and down the roller coaster section to go down the lower part and then come back. So then over there is the jump that comes back up onto this start finish straight. So that's a bit of the geography, and that's where we're going to be. So you can see the start line, the start marshals are over there, so hopefully they'll release race 3 to the grid very shortly. We'll get out of the way. This guy's telling us to get out of the way, so we're getting out of the way. So yeah, hopefully I can hand you back over to the commentators, Andrew Coley and Guy Wilkes, because they should be sending the cars to the grid very shortly.
Latvian flags up on the very highest point on the circuit. So you can see the spectators a long way up the hill, and Guy, that's the view. You know,
it's a beautiful setting, isn't it? Because it's not. It was a quarry.
Totally different. Yeah,
it was a quarry that's been developed into a track,
and it's a kind of a vehicle testing venue and a vehicle driver training place as well. But yeah, those guys can see all the way down to the bottom of the hill from there, so they'll see all the action from that last race, which we can see now. So on the outside, Baumanis, look at that.
Watch for him, because he's not the first. Watch Larsen goes across and then he decides I'm going on the inside and takes a tap from Vert, but those curbs are massive and can rip a wheel off very easily with that angle.
Baumanis there over the curb, look at that, and say yes, they broke a drive shaft today, he'll have been pleased not to. And a great drive by him out front. Only 1.5 off Timmer, and as we say, Timmer yesterday was right up there. So this was a tidy joke lap as well, Guy.
Yeah, it was decent, but his time would have been good enough in Q2 with what he set now for P9. But I was surprised yesterday. There was 4 seconds from first while covering the top 10, which is bigger than normal.
Yeah. That was Vert merging with Larsen. Bits hanging off the back of the car, but great performance all the same. Waiting for the cars to pull up to the grid. You can hear the tyre warm in the background. What you can't see is what Guy Wilkes was explaining earlier, which is that the wall. Actually, you can see in the background there, there's a red and white wall which the drivers peel past. You might be able to see it from this camera, actually, in the background as they come round for the tyre warm. And it's so close. The wall is so close. Guy, what you said to me this morning, do you fancy it? I said, yeah, Super 1600 or touring car, fine. But in a four-wheel drive supercar, no thanks. Like, it really is that close. I stand there and you think...
Yeah, well, you've driven quite a few cars as well.
Yeah,
you know, so it's not like you're just a commentator. If people are listening at home, you've done rallying and driven a few rallycross cars as well. So, you know, that's the wall that they're heading towards. And the start there, you see where the car's pulling
into the grid.
And you have to fully drop the clutch, you know, with your launch procedure. So you're singing at 5,500 thereabouts RPM on the clutch, dropping to spin the wheels up because you want to clean them, get the dirt off, and get a little bit of temperature. Then you've got to stop it before you get.
Maybe we'll see that. Yeah, maybe we'll see the last one. Shishirit. Oh, you can hear it in the background. Shishirit rolling around to the grid. But yeah, it's so close. And of course they want to get it right because it's their opportunity to make sure that everything is where they want it.
And it's all limited as well. You have to pull up into a painted box. It's a line marked box, and you have to do it
it's
within
an
that
actual
box.
zone,
Yeah,
isn't
you can't do it from behind. It's a tyre warming zone or tyre cleaning zone. And they're very strict about it as well.
They are,
for safety
indeed.
reasons. Because a lot of mechanics milling around just behind there.
Getting ready for race 3 of Q3. The cars are on the grid. Let's take a look at the lineup. Jerome Grosjean in on the inside, 15th after Q2. They had a disaster in Q1. What can they do here to drag themselves back up into the semis? Rustad, 13th, wants to be in the semis at home. Markland is currently in 11th. Shishirit in 17th, has a slightly bigger mountain to climb than his teammate. And Johnny Pekka Rajla on the outside, 14th after Q2 with very little time in that car.
Yeah, a lot of new tyres in this. This is always make or break, isn't it? Race 3. Qualifying 3 and qualifying 4. These are the guys that are fighting for the semis. This is going to be a cracker.
Watch for the 2 GCK cars. They need a good start. They didn't get it yesterday, but today they both get away nicely. Tyre smoke from the back, but there's a squeeze for Shishirit. Shishirit's in between Rajla and Markland on the outside. Markland goes Joker. Shishirit goes with him. Oh, into the back of Rustad on the inside. Rajla just picked him up on the exit.
Yeah, that was very... Oh, naughty. That's Shishirit, I'm sure. He's got it fired up again.
Okay, yesterday Shishirit ended up in the gravel there and sat there for a minute, and these guys were down, but that's not what Guerlain needed, but it is what Jerome Grosjean needs.
Yeah, exactly. They had a difficult difficult day yesterday. They were P15 and P17 overnight, but Grosjean needs to get his head down and get away from these guys. Rustad, obviously a local, he knows this track, quite literally backwards as I say that.
Is there any point in him trying to make that pass there? You know, sometimes I think
smoking like crazy.
That's a contact with Rajala behind.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think people they almost waste. That's exactly what he needs to do.
Yeah,
don't wait. Just go through.
Well, he's fighting Markland. Markland's already joking, but just shows how much time he's hemorrhaged.
Does
indeed.
behind
Those cars.
Grosjean and Rajala are the drivers who haven't jokered yet. Markland, Rustad and Shisha, you can see with the ticks next to their names. And up the hill, very, very steep up that hill, it really is. Over the crest into the left-hander. Grosjean's backing it in, you know, like a slight Scandinavian flick to unsettle the car at the top. Do you think it's necessary or not? Is it because there's a lot of loose gravel there, or could you do that with a bit of brake pass and a bit of left foot just the once?
Depends on your confidence of the car underneath you and how confident as a driver you are, as it takes to the Joker now. We can see there he's in a little bit too narrow on the entry and just cost himself time.
Yeah, Markland gets him.
Done him, and that's exactly what he didn't need.
So Markland's got him. Anton then is the driver who's chasing down that top time.
Anton actually looks in the right places, and he's done a 39 dead at the moment. He needs to try and dip into the 38s if he's really going to trouble the top 10 guys.
I don't think he'll catch up with Rajala before they make it through. And as we say that, look, Shisha, that's the promise of Shisha. And I saw him this morning. He was disappointed. He was munching a croissant as he was heading out onto his track walk.
No Frenchism in that.
Yeah, I said, you know, and he just like, just disappointed, you know. And he said the car's good. He said, I know I can do a good lap time. He said, I did a good lap time yesterday. As you see Rajala go through, he's going to come out behind Rustad, who he gave that tag to in the first corner. But that, you know, it's got to come together.
Yes, everything has to come together, and obviously Shisha has just been dropped too much off the back of this. Unfortunately, that fastest lap's not going to count for a great deal. Apart from it says that the car's good, it's got the potential, it could be up there.
Could indeed. Markland chasing down that top time of Timur Timozyanov, 2:42.8. Let's see, bottom right hand corner of your screen. I think it'll be close, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough. So Timur's going to remain at the top of the timesheets, 2:43.7. In fact, we'll slot him in just ahead of Baumanis. So he beats Baumanis' time, but he can't match Timozyanov. So Timozyanov is still top of the table and still having a good recovery from yesterday's problems. Here's the result. Markland with the win from Jerome Grosjean, Rustad, Rajala and Shisharit, who's rapid, but as I say, unfortunately, just hasn't quite come together. So great start to the season for the GCK guys, and just a little reset needed, I guess, to get things back together now. Neil Cole is with Anton Markland, who took that one, and as I say, slots into P2 of Q3 so far.
Anton, the second quickest so far and a good race win. That's what you needed if you're going to make the semis.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the guys who was racing me in this heat, we are all racing for the top 12 spots in P11, P12. Made a good start, went into the Joker, got a clean race, I think, for the first time this weekend without traffic. So feel pretty happy. Of course, the time could have been a bit better, but still, I didn't want to take any risk. We can't afford to have a puncture or anything like that. So decent result, and I'm happy with that.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Take a look back at the start. So watch for who goes Joker and who doesn't.
At the start,
yeah, well, Shisharit got squeezed right off the line. Then Rajala here, look, into the back. And I think he was looking for the undercut and maybe didn't expect Rustad to come quite so wide.
Didn't quite see what happened with Shisharit in the Joker and why he dropped so much time. But
look at that from Rustad. This Joker's quite mad. You can take a lot more entry speed into it than you think.
Take crazy entry speed
really,
and put the car really sideways. If you watch Petter and those guys, you know they really dare throw the car from a long
Larson yesterday.
way. Oh yeah, Robin Larson had a cracking go at it.
He did, didn't he? Bottom of your screen there, you can see we can watch the live TV show later on today. This was Rajala into the Joker lap. Markland on the inside. Rajala dropping back into fourth place. As I say, Markland took it, but not quite fast enough to go to the top of the standings so far. Support for him here as well. Of course, the Scandinavians all desperately want to win the Scandinavian events. This is definitely one of the classics. I think it's safe to say that Norway and Sweden are right up there, and I think it's, you know, whilst the drivers really want a home win, they also really distinctly enjoy sticking it to their neighbours, don't they?
Oh, in Scandinavia,
yeah, it's
absolutely. It's all as one. They travel and have travelled, traversed right across, back and forth for years. fighting wars on the rallycross track.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. You know, they desperately. Of course, Backrud wants to win it, but Johan would love to.
Oh, he'd love to stick it on him over here.
Yeah,
just
he would.
across the border, and then go and do it again to him in Sweden.
Yeah.
As would Andreas like to stick it on Johan and everybody else.
The home win's always special, isn't it? The home win is always special. But as I say, the classic tracks are the ones which the drivers really love to win. I think any win to win. There's the Backrud fan club up at the top of the hill. I think 250 of them here this weekend.
Not looking too sleepy this morning.
No, they're not. Andreas Backrud just getting his crash helmet exactly where he wants it. Going to get the steering into place, get the launch ready to go, and then we can get underway. Q3 Race 4 is about to start. Have a look at this grid. On the inside, Kevin Hansen, Niklas Gronholm next to him, Andreas Backrud, Kevin Eriksson and Robin Larsson. They're all inside the top 12. Look, Larsson in 10th and Kevin Eriksson in 9th, not actually taking new tyres, whereas Kevin Hansen and Andreas Backrud are. Marshals will disappear shortly. Backrud has a look out the side window, gives a thumbs up, that's it. Clunks the car into gear. Eyes down. Guy Wilkes has spotted something on the start there, which we'll talk you through in just a moment. Good start. Backrud took the up really nicely. Larsson though on the outside has as well. Kevin Hansen looking up the inside. Backrud's going to go Joker. Larsson trying to go around the outside. Contact between the two. Larsson's going to go deep. That's going to cost them both time. Backrud lights up. Larsson won't like that. And Backrud's going to have him. Yeah, it's going to have him on the back bumper. He's giving it back. He's giving it back. I say, will not let. He's done it again. He doesn't like it.
No, he doesn't like it. But it's what Andreas Backrud. It's what Andreas Backrud needs. He needs to climb up the leaderboard. He needs a really strong race time. Is what he didn't need was to hemorrhage time. Stood out there in the loose gravel, fighting for traction.
And I know what you spotted at the start, but tell everyone at home.
Yeah, obviously you saw Andreas Backrud. He clicked first gear, then he grabbed second. It's a downhill start here. Obviously you lose time, a minuscule piece of time when you change gear. He grabbed second so he could launch down, miss a gear change and get third for his next gear change.
And he got a nice start. He did get a nice start. Larson got a good start alongside him. So I think it was fair into the Joker Lab. It's side by side, door to door. It's gravel as well, so the cars move a bit. You don't get so much damage as you do. Yeah, exactly. But Larson doesn't like it, and now Backrud's got to put up with him being behind him for the rest of the race. So there's your gap, top left corner, 4 seconds back for Backrud. We'll try and figure out exactly what the Joker's going to be today with the loose gravel on the circuit. It changes a bit each day, and that's one of the beauties, I think, of rallycross. You think you've learned the circuit, you go back out and it's totally different.
Yeah, because they reset it overnight. They have to repair it.
And it develops through the day too, doesn't it? Like every single session, the track is a little bit different.
I tell you what is worth mentioning today is that it's not as dusty, and that is a benefit to the drivers.
Yeah, because you can joker early. Yesterday we were hearing people discuss, look, I'm not going to joke until later in the race. Solberg and Loeb were both saying it. Backrud, fastest lap of the day, 38.666. That's very appropriate for Hell, isn't it?
Yes.
So Backrud's on a big push, chasing down Eriksson in front, super sideways down the hairpin. Look at the amount of steering inputs. He's really going for it.
Yeah, he's fighting the car hard, but he's getting more comfortable. He's very frustrated with his day yesterday. Didn't quite pan out. He followed Timmy Hansen in Q2 for a lot longer than he wanted to, but that is the nature of the sport. You have to find a way past with strategy or on the track.
Here we go, talking of strategy. Kevin Hansen into the Joker. Kevin Eriksson's going to go too. The gap was 3.8. Could be close. I think Kevin Hansen's going to get it though on the inside. And that to me is the contact in turn one that Backrud lost a little bit of time.
Without doubt, but he's going to fight all the way to the line.
38.4, so he's going quicker and quicker. Look at that, you've got the telemetry mounted down on the floor. Get the weight just as low as you can. Has another sneaky look up the inside, bit sideways on the exit, pulling gears. Kevin Hansen is going to take this one unless there's a mistake in the last couple of corners, but it's Backrud who's showing that he's back on the pace, so maybe they found something in the car overnight. Time at the bottom of the screen, 2:42.8 is Tim Azyanov. Is that going to finally fall? Kevin Hansen crosses the line. He's done it by a second. Kevin Hansen goes to the top 1.1 seconds faster than Tim Azyanov, and we've got just 5 cars left to go in Q3.
The top 3 actually have jumped to the top of the pile there. Niklas Gronholm, it's like a train. There was only 0.82 of a second from first to third, covering those 3 there.
And you can see that Kevin Eriksson and Robin Larsson down in P4 and P5. There's where they slot in, and as Guy Wilkes said, they go to the top of the table. So good results for Tim Azyanov, Markin and Baumanis so far, but I'd say we've got the fastest 5 guys still to come. Kevin Hansen took a race yesterday. He's taken another one today. He's down with Neil Cole now.
Kevin, just then as you came up to the stop line, you were punching the air. You clearly enjoyed that big push.
Yeah. Oh, such a nice run. I really enjoyed that one, and I was pushing so hard, and to manage to take backward is really nice. So I know I had a good position for a good run, and I think I gave it my everything. So let's see how far it can go.
Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kevin is all smiles as we take another look back at that start, Guy, and it was all about Backer and Larson on the outside.
Yeah, absolutely. Larson got a great start as well, but we're just going to follow with the guys going standard lap. And Kevin Hansen just out that squeeze. Niklas Grunholm pushed Eriksson he was muscled him out of the way. Here we go, backward on the inside, grabbing a lot of handbrake. The reason he's grabbing a lot of handbrake is because the back of his car is hard against Larson's and the car won't rotate, so it's pushing the car into understeer. Watch here, he has to grab the handbrake, try and turn it. That's why he was pulling it.
Larson as well, almost in the gravel bank on the outside, but does well to hold
Larson
on.
was flat, backward was fighting it, wasn't he?
Kevin into the Joker lap out front. We knew at this time, obviously, that Backer was flying because he'd done 2 fastest laps in a row. But thanks to being a little bit wide and a little bit off in turn 1, which he's lost out. How much time he lost on the way down on this last lap, I'm not sure. But it was him who took it. And at the minute, he leads Q3. All the kids are up on the fences having a look. You can see a few empty seats in the background. They'll be filled later. There's a few blankets out today. Yesterday was very much shorts and t-shirt weather. Very Scandinavian, isn't it? They all leave their chairs here overnight and that's it. That's the place bagged. You know, you can't take it. My chair's there.
I did put a bit of a poll on Instagram about were they better or worse than the Germans. The Norwegians definitely won the vote massively
for bagging seats.
Yeah. Claiming space.
Belgium too. You know, they put little bits of tape up around their little area, a few pegs in, and you know, it's it's definitely a European thing. Solberg, big release of the handbrake, little bit of steering input. Looks very relaxed though. Little pull on the handbrake again.
Yeah, just after he did the start, you go onto the grid, and obviously he has to turn to P4. It's actually quite a tight turn, so he's just done a little handbrake just to rotate the car and come straight onto the grid.
Good spot from Guy Wilkes there. Of course, the last person's going to have an even tighter turn to slot in. These were our 5 fastest drivers from Q2, but it also includes the top 3 overnight. So this last race of Q3 is going to be fantastic. Final race of Q3 is on the line and ready to go. Let's take a look at the lineup. This is a strong one. On the inside, the world champion Johan Kristoffersson. He's won both sessions so far. Matthias Ekström was second in Q2 to move up to P4. He'd like to move up even further. Sebastian Loeb was on it in Q1, couldn't quite match Kristoffersson in Q2. Then we've got Solberg and Timmy Hansen. Timmy, of course, has won a session at every weekend so far. He's yet to win one here, and Solberg would love a home win. Ekström's gone for diagonally opposed new tyres on the Audi. But we are interested in what happens over the next couple of minutes. Second gear start again. That was Ekström, I think, on board. Petter, sorry, on board. So Solberg has gone for a second gear start, which we saw backward to a moment ago. Really even across the entire thing. Solberg with that start closes the door on Loeb. Oh, Ekström hard in the side of Solberg. Solberg will not like that at all. Solberg is going to have to give second place to Ekström. What do you think about that, Guy?
No comment until I see the replay. It was absolutely phenomenal. I watched it out of the window, and then I came back to the screen and saw that obviously he was sideways into the corner, took a tap from Matthias Ekström, and obviously Matthias got ahead of him. He will not like it, and they've tangled plenty of times this year so far.
They have, and I wonder if the stewards will get involved again, but you were on board there up the hill. Kristoffersson takes the deep line in. Hansen, look, with a smoother steering input, but Kristoffersson's got the straight exit. So Timmy Hansen chasing down Kristoffersson. We know everyone's worked on their setups overnight. Timmy decides to follow through. Sebastian Loeb's going in as well. So Solberg and Ekström, I wonder, will there be any kind of an investigation into that? I mean, you know, I don't think Petter will be happy either way. Kristoffersson is on a big push, but the Peugeots are going with him. And yesterday, Loeb didn't look like he could do that in Q2.
No, I just wondered whether he could struggle to drop a look at Matthias and Petter fighting. Petter's he's maybe doing a little bit too much. He's too eager to get past. Obviously, he did not like that, what Matthias did or didn't do to him in the fight that was in that
nip
corner.
On the handbrake on the way into the left-hander over the crest. The floaty car control of Petter Solberg is epic, isn't it? Smoked tyres from the back. We see that here quite often because of the long corners. and the lead three cars have all decided they're not going to joke. A fastest lap of the day, Johan Kristoffersson. Timmy Hansen can't be far off him, is he?
No, he's on a 38.4, so he's only 2.5 tenths behind him. But at the same time, Johan is just eking out enough at the moment.
It's close though, isn't it?
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily have to. As long as they're driving quickly, he's just racing the clock, remember, and he does not have to do anything that makes a mistake from himself or forces him into making a mistake.
I love this between these two.
This is
You know,
all
Solberg is
over.
like,
Let's follow this a little bit.
I want to come past
This
you.
is where it's at for pace as well.
Ekstrom and Solberg still fighting out in the background. On to the Joker on the last lap. Timmy Hansen, fastest lap of the day, 38.0. Loeb, okay, Loeb, okay, one more lap to go. Sorry, okay,
Yes.
so, and we're looking at a big slot in between Ekstrom and Kristoffersson. Oh, contact between Hansen up the inside as well. So Hansen up the inside of Solberg. Solberg's over the curves on the inside. He gets in the side of Hansen, gives him a big push. Timmy holds on somehow down into the hairpin. So I was right. Loeb has forgotten to Joker. I was right. Loeb has forgotten to Joker. I thought so.
That's
so
a big
Sebastian
mistake.
Loeb, the ultimate rallycross in, is going to cross the line in first, but he's going to get a 30-second penalty. Ignore him. The race is about Kristoffersson over the line now. Kristoffersson comes up to take the win from Ekstrom, Hansen and Solberg. The pace between these factory cars is so close. It's a 2:40.0 for Johan Kristoffersson, and we're waiting to see whether or not that's going to take him to the top of the timesheet, because we're currently looking at the wrong screen up here, waiting for it to scroll through. Come on, Chris.
Less than a second over the top
enough.
three.
It's enough. 2:40. In fact, all of the top four move ahead of Kevin Hansen. So Kristoffersson 2:40.0 from Ekstrom, Hansen, Solberg. Sebastian Loeb is given a 30-second penalty for not joking. You can't blame it all on him. It could be spotter, it could be communications, but there's where they slot in. Look, the top four going ahead. That's a great time by Kevin Hansen, and some of the others up there in the top 8 looking really good as well. But let's go and catch up with the winner of Q3, Kristoffersson.
Johan is just asking for a block to go under the tyres to save the brakes. Were you aware that Sebastian hadn't jokered then and you won the race?
Let's say I was not hoping for it, but I would be very surprised if he had the time to go through the Joker and come out with such a lead, because my car felt really good. I had a gap down to Matthias all the time, so I saw that I heard from the spot that I was gaining a little bit of time. It was 3 and then 3.5, and I saw Matthias had 2 new tires and I saved mine, so that's a good feeling.
Well done, Johan. That means you've won all 3 sessions so far. Good job.
That's a good start.
Oh, there we go. Kristoffersson saying that he has saved his tyres and that's why he's happy.
Let's watch this though, because Solberg and Ekstrom. Whoa, look at the angle.
Down the gears, light it up. Look, bit of handbrake, still in third, and now he'd be like, right, I'm not happy. He chased him for the whole race, didn't he? And it cost him, of course, as well, because they ended up, when we see the merge, look at this, full opposite lock. He was on the lock stops, guy.
Fair play, Petter Solberg. That was a great catch. He didn't know that was coming.
No, that's
that
what
was
I mean.
pure
The
reaction and instinct.
Oh, great, brilliant car control. But say, I'd actually like to have heard from Petter there, because I don't think he'd been very happy. There was Loeb, who's forgotten to Joker, and it might have dawned on him at this point. Say, I wasn't sure. Ekstrom then slots it in. Hansen's up the inside of Solberg. Solberg here then gets in the side of Timmy. And to be fair, Timmy does pretty well to hold on there, but you ride with Solberg with Ekstrom just in front. This was the merge look, so he's in the back, and then, oh, hang on a minute, Timmy's up the inside, 3-wheeling from Ekstrom. This is absolutely classic rallycross merging here at Norway Hell. Fantastic. Kristoffersson has won all 3 qualifying sessions so far here in Hell. Matthias Ekstrom goes second place, but interestingly, Kristoffersson said, I've saved my tyres. He thinks he's pretty happy about that. I can't see anyone taking TQ away from him, even in Q4. It'd have to be an absolute disaster for him to drop down from there. Ekstrom is P2. He's moved up from 4th, so that sticks him on pole in semi-2 at the minute. But remember, 1 session to go. Solberg, Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, brilliant performance. Backward, Nicolas Gronholm, Sebastian Loeb drops a long way down thanks to missing his Joker in Q3. Kevin Ekstrom, Robin Larsen, Anton Markland, and Timothy Mazyanov is still in 12th place. All those people below fighting. They've got 1 more session to go to try and eke a place in the top 12.
Well, thanks, Andrew Coley and Guy Wilkes. What a dramatic qualifying session that was. Johan Kristoffersson has just gone through into scrutineering. He's dominating this weekend in the neighbouring country of Norway. Obviously, the TV later will have the 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock with the semi-finals and the final live. And is it going to be another victory for Johan? And we look like we will have some kind of grudge between Matthias Ekstrom and Petter Solberg again. And Timmy Hansen's in the mix also, and Sebastian Loeb making the That's the qualifying 4 will be at 5 to midday. Thanks very much for watching this live. Make sure you're back for qualifying because there's several slices of beef about to be served up in qualifying 4, and of course we're live on television later. You can have a look on the website to find out where your country has the television show. But from us, thank you very much for watching. Share this. We want more people to watch qualifying. Qualifying 4 will be epic. Thanks for watching us in Norway. We'll see you in a couple of hours.